Collectibles are basically any item in the game that is not consumable. So a collectible item can be a piece of equipment like a sword or armor, or it can be an inventory item like a ingot or leather or something else you would use in crafting. Even items used to craft consumables are considered collectibles if they themselves are not consumable. So if you have enchanted plants or empty potion bottles, those sorts of things would be collectibles. Because collectibles can be equipped, you can do an inventory system where you could equip the item in special slots or just in general, and it is set up so that if you choose to do it just in general, you have this maximum equipable slots, which basically the system will enforce this. If you say you have 7 equipable slots, then it allows 7 items to be equipped. You may also, as you will see in the example game that I included, divide these equipable things up into various slots, like I have a left hand and a right hand slot and a ring and a necklace slots. The API will allow you to manage whether or not they're equipable and what goes in each slot and that sort of thing. Okay, let's go into the collectibles editor. Click the open editor button and it pulls up this screen. This is a list of all of the collectibles that I created for the example game. When you start with your game, this list will actually be empty. By selecting one to edit, it just brings up all of the options here. To create a new one, you can click the green button here, which will add a new empty one. If you already have one, you may select it and then click the copy button, which will copy the existing one. So if you have 2 items that are very similar but with only slight differences, these up and down arrows allow you to move items up or down in the list, and the trash can allows you to delete them. You can also use the filter here to search by name. So let's say I only wanted to see the ones with the word gold in it. This will filter everything down to just that. And this button resets the filters. This part of the screen is consistent for all of the editors, so you'll always see this. Another part that you'll always see is this unique ID. This ID is assigned automatically when you create a new item. Let's go ahead and create a new one so that you can see that. All right, so I create a new item and it doesn't have an icon or a name yet. So in the list, it just shows its ID, and it gave it a new ID here based on the last ID was 42, so it created a new one, 43. If you don't like these names, you can simply go in and edit it to whatever fits your needs. At this point, you have a choice with display, creation, and equipped effects. The display, this is going to be pretty much the same for all of the various collections with only a few minor differences. All collections will have, and when I say collections, I mean the consumables, the rewards, the quests, all of that. They will all have this unique ID. They will have a caption, a short description, and then a sprite in which you can optionally use a prefab instead of the sprite if you prefer. I use just a UI sprite here. So when you go through creating your new one, you simply just fill these out as you would normal. So this part of the UI will be consistent throughout all of the collections. And what's below that will change this specific to the particular editor that you're in. So in this case, we are in a collectible. So we have the option of designating it as equippable. We have a count, which is the number that will start the game with, and in this case 0. And then we have a max, which is the maximum number that the player can have in their inventory. You also have the option of turning this collectible, once it's already created, into a reward item. You can turn it into a crafting quest, or you can turn it into a collection quest. And all these have their own individual editors, and what this will do is just fill out all the basics for you and save you some development time. Here are the tags that I mentioned earlier, and as you can see, we have the list of tags from our main screen, and we can do as many of these as we like. Moving on to the creation tab. This tab is unique to the collectibles. Consumables have a creation tab and a few others do, but this tab is unique to things that can be crafted in the game. This small section here actually is not unique. This will pretty commonly used, where you see locked and unlocked by. What this means is that you can set this item to be locked, which means that by default it won't be available in the game. So if you tell the game to give me a list of all the equipable items and that the player could pick up, it's not going to include the ones that are locked because they are intended for later use. So if you want an item to be locked, you say it's here, and then you say that it's unlocked by, say, this. So what's going to happen is when the player receives the item that you set here, so let's say we are creating a magic sword, and the player can only have access to find the sword once they have received this magic powder. So when this magic powder goes into the player's inventory, it will automatically unlock this magic sword. This is the amount of time that it takes to craft the item. So this one's set to 45 seconds. You can set it pretty much as long as you want, but obviously if you go too long, players will forget about it. But you do not have to be concerned about whether or not the player is actively in the game. The creation timer will monitor even if they're offline. So if the item completes crafting while they are offline, when they come back into the game, there will be an event message to let you know that this item has finished crafting, and you can make them aware of that. The creation cost here is what it takes to create it, or what it takes in terms of monetary costs. And you will see this throughout the editors when it comes to cost. You have a choice between free, coins, gems, cash, or ads. What cash means is that you have to designate the in-app purchase item, and it will take them out to the App Store or Google Play Store to actually purchase that item. There'll be a notification, and when they come back, then they will receive it. And if it's in the case of a crafting cost, when after they do the purchase and they come back, it will start the crafting process. Same thing for ad. If you're saying the cost is an ad, then the system will automatically pop up a 30-second ad, and if they watch it all the way through, then the crafting process will begin. This is the same thing for just outright buying an item and many other things, as you'll see in the example game. There are plenty of places where this is used. Now we can add in creation requirements. So we're going to say to create this magic sword, we need 10 iron ingots and we need some leather strips. I'm going to go with 2 leather strips. So what's going to happen is inside the game, if the player indicates they want to craft this item, it's going to look and see if they have the required components in their inventory. So first it's going to check and make sure they have 100 coins. Then it's going to make sure they have 10 ingots and then 2 leather strips. If they do, it will begin the crafting process, and it will automatically remove the 100 coins, 10 ingots, and leather strips from their inventory, and the timer will begin counting down the 45 seconds. At the end of the 45 seconds, they will automatically receive a reward event so that you can pop up showing that they've received this item or that it's completed crafting. Now, for equippable items, when it is equipped, it can have an effect. I've selected 2 here. You can do 3, whatever you want. We'll limit it to just 1 so I can explain what's going on. This can do many things when equipped. So let's say we are creating a magic sword that while it's equipped, it increases their max health by 10. So while this sword is equipped, their max health will be 10. If they unequip this sword, their max health is going to drop back down to its normal value. And you can do this with all sorts of things. So the health regeneration, or the amount of health regenerated every tick, let's say you got to generate 1 health every 45 minutes. Or you could decrease the time it takes to regenerate 1 health from 45 minutes to, say, 20 minutes. Same thing with energy. You can also increase the number of keys gained. So you can say, whenever I have this item equipped and I find a key, then I'll actually get 2 keys. Or you can get a bonus star, or any of these things. The other option is to fire a message. So when you equip this item, it'll fire off a message to let you know that the item's been equipped. And when they unequip it, it'll fire off another message to let you know it was unequipped. In the example game, when a sword is equipped, it actually gives a bonus to attack. So I watch for this equip message to fire, and that equip message comes across, I add bonuses to the player's attack. And if that unequipped message comes off, I remove those bonuses. So there are lots of things you can do with this. Once you are done adding in all of your items, your craftable items, your equippable items, and are ready to move on, you can simply click return home and you'll go back to the main screen.